Okay, so this is the almost last topic of your unit second, and we have to see how we can sterilize and disinfect the place where we are going to make the media and prepare for the microbial culture. So actually, these are the very basic and very necessary condition for having the culture media preparation, or if you wanted to grow any kind of microorganism inside your lab. So very first step you have to take, that is the sterilization and disinfection. And why we need it? Because there are a lot kind or diversity of the microorganism which can be present around us, even in the air or the instrument you are using, or the water molecule or any compound or anything which you are going to use inside your media, and also the instrument which you are going to use in the preparation of media and the inoculation process. So throughout the process you have to use various things, and in various details you have to be very quite optimized for about the things which you are going to use inside the whole instrumentation process. So the first thing you have to be take under consideration is about the sterilization and disinfections. So there are some terms which are going to introduce inside the sterilization and disinfection. Like the first thing if we talk about here, that the what is the sterilization and how we can use the sterilization to do the microbial techniques. So this sterilization, that is a physical and a chemical process. So basically we can do the sterilization by two methods. One, that can be the physical method, and second, that can be a chemical process. So that completely destroy or removes all microbial life including the spores. So any kind of micro activity which is present when we are sterilizing something, either by the physical method or can be by the chemical method. So they are going to destroy all the microbial life which is present at that particular place or time, including the spores also. Sports is, you all know the sports are the intermediate position to the next generation. So that also included under the sterilization process. But some other cleaning methods which might not include the spores, that's why they actually include this word that they are including the spores sterilization also. Now, the disinfection, if we see, it is a killing or removing of harmful microorganisms. So, disinfection is not about all microbial life to be removed. But in sterilization, there will be no differentiation between the good bacteria and the bad bacteria. So, just be clear that what is the difference between disinfection and the sterilization. The sterilization is to wiping out all the microbial life which is present there, but disinfection is, the just killing and removing only the harmful one, not the positive kind of microorganism. We use the disinfection in that way that we don't harm the positive kind of microorganism or the microorganism which we are going to need to culture. So just the one which is harmful for that particular situation or the culture, that kind of the microorganism are going to be destroyed in the case of disinfection. So these are something like disinfectants which are used in the process of disinfection. So what are the things or products which can kill the microorganisms? So product used to kill microorganism or inanimate objects or surfaces. So the disinfectants are not necessarily sporicidal. So basically, we're talking about a disinfectant which is responsible for killing the microorganism, the any kind of product. So they do not involve the sporocidal killing. Like in the sterilization process, they involve the sporocidal, or you can say they are killing the spores too. And that's why we specifically include that term inside the sterilization. But in the disinfectant, there is no surety that they are going to kill these spore also, but maybe sporostatic and inhibiting germination or outgrowth, but they can limit their growth. Okay, so they sporostatic means they are not providing some favorable conditions in which spores are going to be produce or germinate or outgrowth. So that's why you can say that disinfection is like a controlling unit for the spores condition, but sterilization is a complete wipeout of all the microbial units. Antiseptic, so that product that destroy or inhibit the growth of microorganism in or on living tissues. So in antiseptic, you also know that we use some antiseptic creams or any balm that can be antiseptic because we have to remove the microorganism from in or out. You can say the on the surface and from the inner of a tissue. So that can be called as antiseptic. Aseptic. Now, this is a slight difference between antiseptic and aseptic. They are the characterized by the absence of pathogenic microbes. So, same as like condition in the disinfectant, like aseptic is also that they are going to absent or they are just this is the condition in which no pathogenic bacteria is present. I think you know the pathogenic bacteria which can cause a disease. So pathogens, microorganism, if they are not present in a certain situation or certain environment, we can call that environment as a aseptic environment or anything that is not present there which can cause any kind of disease or pathogenicity. So these are the basic terms you have to know when you do the culture preparation or any kind of microbial technique to perform. Now the methods of sterilization, so like what kind of methods we can use in the sterilization. Now this also have to be clear that we are going to see the sterilization method and also the disinfections method, and they both are different. In the method of sterilization, under which we are going to see the physical and chemical method, and physical method and chemical method. Both are the methods which are using to wipe out all the microbial community present there. But in disinfection, we are using some kind of chemical activity which are just refer to very special kind of pathogen bacteria. Okay, so this is the basic difference, and you have to be very clear about it. Don't get confused between the sterilization and disinfection. They are different two different terms. Now, the physical method in which we can use the heat. It can be the dry heat or it can be the moist heat. So normally if we are talking about the moist heat, we are talking about some water which have a very high temperature. Radiation, if we talk about here, so radiation, you know, that have the ability to kill the bacteria or any microorganisms. UV light, ionizing radiation, so radiation in which we also have two subcategories like the UV lights and the ionization radiation. Third matter is filtration. That is not very appropriate, but yes, we can filter a range of microorganism in the filtration, in which we have to use very specific kind of filters. Like for the bacteria, we have to use different kind of filters. For viruses, we have to make the filter level up to more advanced because you know the virus size is way more smaller than the bacteria. Some filters which can filter out the bacteria but they cannot filter the viruses. So that's a filtration process that has to be very unique to the microbial community which we are going to filter there. Lastly, we are having the chemical methods, so in which we are going to use some solvents, some chemicals which are determined to remove the microbial community. So now let's begin with the first process of the sterilization, that is radiation. So in radiation, UV lights we can use, but they have a very limited kind of sterilizing power. So now if we compare the ionizing radiation and UV light, so UV light is just for, so you can say surface microorganism can be destroyed by the UV exposure, but not very optimum for very some kind of pathogen bacteria which have higher tolerance. They cannot be destroyed by the UV light. So you can say just UV light is a kind of sterilization which can remove like a normal range of bacteria from 90 to 95%, but not the 100% of the sterilization that can be opted by the UV light. So they has a limited sterilizing power, and because of poor penetration into the most of the material, so why they cannot sterilize or wipe out all the kind of microbial community because of their poor penetration power. So if something cannot penetrate the cell membrane of a particular microorganism, they cannot kill them. So basically, the radiation which we are seeing next, ionizing radiation, they have these gamma radiation, which are very have the efficiency to penetrate the cell membrane and destroy the internal structure of the microorganism. So if something can destroy the internal structure, so hence they are going to kill them. So, in the radiation of UV light, generally used in radiating of air in certain areas like operating room, TVs, and laboratories. So, in the laminar flow, when we going for this, we had done the plant tissue culture, or in the plant tissue culture, all the materials or the instrument which we are going to use, we just put them inside the laminar flow and on the UV. So that can do the surface sterilization to an optimum point, but not very efficient to kill all the kind of microorganisms. But in the ionizing radiation, they have this gamma radiation, and the gamma radiation source is like cobalt 60. They have a very greater energy than the UV light. So this greater energy is using here to penetrating the microbial cell membrane to destroy them. So therefore more effective. So that's why they are more effective as comparison to the UV light. Used mainly in the industrial facilities, sterilization of disposable plastic syringes, gloves, containers, petri dishes. So these kind of instruments you can sterilize by the ionizing radiation, and this is more effective as comparison to the UV light. Now the third point we have here, the filtration. So filtration is may be done under either positive or negative pressure. So there is a pressure that has to be used under the filtration process, and pressure plays an important role inside it, because when we treat some microbial unit under the optimum pressure on which they can be destroyed. So that kind of pressure we are going to use in the filtration process. Best known example is a membrane filter made from the cellulose acetate. So if we talk about filtration filter, like in the filtration, we need some filter which is going to filter out the microorganism. So in that case, we can use a membrane filter which is made up of the cellulose acetate. So they generally remove most of the bacteria, but viruses and some small bacteria like Chlamydes and Mycoplasma may pass through. So actually, they can separate out, or you can say they can filter out most of the bacteria which have a little larger size, or in the size in micrometer. So micrometer size can be wiped out by using the cellulose acetate. But if we are talking about the way more small viruses or bacteria, they cannot be filtered out by this filtration process. On that case, we use some more advanced kind of filter which have the possibility to filter out something up to the nanometer scale. So on the nanometer scale only, if we are having a filter which have a capacity to filter out something on a nanoscale, then only this filtration process is more effective. Otherwise, they are not very technically sterilization items. We cannot consider them as a mostly sterilization, because in the sterilization, whenever we talk about the sterilization, the first thing come into our mind that killing all the microorganisms. But in this process, we are not even killing something. We are not even making the surface is to be optimized for doing some practices or technique performance. So that's why we cannot actually consider them under the sterilization, but yet they are removing the microorganism from somehow. So that's why we can put them into the sterilization process as a side phase. So the filtration does not technically sterilize item, but it is adequate for circumstances under which is used. So some of the circumstances in which we cannot use the like ionization, radiation, or some chemical which can make any alternate changes inside the sample. So in that case scenario, you can use the filtration. May use for heat labile substances like sera and antibiotics. So in what case we can use the filters? Like we have some substance which is very heat sensitive. Like if we are going to provide most of the sterilization work on the heat and pressure. So if something which can be destroyed the internal compound by having the excess of heat and pressure, so in that case we have to use something which not make changes inside the compound, or which cannot make change inside the sample, or anything which we are going to disinfect. So the recommended size filter that will exclude the smallest bacterial cell is 0.22 micron. So this can be the size filter which can use for filtration of the microorganism to a, you can say, to an accurate level, up to an accurate level, not exactly accurate level, because not all the kind of microorganism, but yes, most of the microorganism can be filtered out. Next is sterilization by heat. This is very common, and even in the laminar flow, we use a lamp. So lamp, using this lamp or burner. Why we use them? Because this is the best way to sterilize something. Because heat and the flames, they have this capacity to destroy the microorganism to a very instant and fast rate. So dry heat, that is the simplest method, and we don't have to use many much things to do this dry heat phenomena. We just have to uh, near the close to the sample, and we can sterilize any kind of equipment. Like we can sterilize a test tube, petri plates, or any kind of watch glass, whatever we wanted to sterilize. So simplest method is exposing the item to be sterilized to the naked flame. So what we have to do, just expose our item to the naked flames. Bunsen burner, laminar flow use करते हैं, that is very simple kind. For sterilizing bacteriological loops, knives, blade, anything with forceps, whatever we are using here, we can just sterilize that out by exposing to the flames. Hot air ovens expose item to like 160 degrees Celsius for 1 hour, and it has electric element in the chamber as source of heat up, a fan to circulate air for even distributed of heat in the chamber. Oven without a fan is dangerous. So actually we have oven also inside our lab. We'll have like 2 to 3 ovens. So these ovens are also be mandatory, because if you wanted to sterilize something and that needs some time, not everything can be sterilized. Like knives, blade, and loops, they are very small things, and you can just put them on flame and do the sterilization. But if you have something in bigger inside, like you have some big jar, you cannot just flame it over, because it can burn your hand also. So we cannot do that with the just exposing to the flame. So in that case, if we have a big equipment, or if we have something more which cannot be hold into our hand and exposing to the air, exposing to the dry heat. So in that case, we use the oven. So we just can put our things or instrument inside the oven and set a temperature. So everything have a different. You cannot put the plastic inside the oven and make it on the 160 degrees Celsius. It will melt out. So you have to be very clear about that what kind of instrument you wanted to sterilize in what kind of method. So every equipment, every type of equipment, like even it is glass or it is steel, it is the if it is plastic or any other material. So we every equipment, they have their own sterilization method. You cannot put a plastic inside the autoclave or oven; they will be going to burst out. Even they can change your composition of your sample. So that's why you have to be very clear. And if you are using an oven, that should have a fan inside it, because cooling down, because at a temperature, at a time, there will be a pressure that can be generated by the hot air inside. So that has to be modulated out. So that's why this having a fan is a necessary condition inside the oven, and they place inside the bottom of the oven if you see some oven very carefully. Used for metal, glassware, ornaments, oil, waxes, powder items that are lacking water. So these the kind of things which you can use in the dry heat and the oven. Now the moist heat. So moist heat is just as I told you, they are going to use the hot water. So moist heat kill microorganism by denaturing the protein. So what the basic technique, how these moist heat kill the microorganism by denaturing their proteins. So mostly the microorganism, if we talk about a virus or bacteria, they do not have a very complex machinery inside them. The thing majorly which present inside a microbial cell or any bacterial or viral cell, they just have a optimum amount of protein to their survival and a genomic material or sometimes little cytoplasm in the case of bacteria only. So if we are going to denature that particular protein, which is their functional unit, so hence we can kill the microorganism. So same here, the moist heat do that they just denature their protein, and denaturing the protein is going to kill the microorganism. So next, the boiling, that is quite common. We even use it at our home to kill the microorganism. So we boil the milk or the water to just disinfect it. So quite common, especially in domestic circumstances, we do that. But mostly in the laboratory, we do not use the boiling, because boiling mostly denature even some good things inside the substance. So in research case, we very in a very rare condition, when we want something, everything has to be out from some component or sample, then we go for the boiling. Otherwise, we don't go for the boiling, because it can kill some important things also from the sample. Tindalization. I also told you tindalization when we studying the microbial techniques and how the John Tyndall introduced in the history of microbiology. So lengthy process. Actually, this will take time, because in which we have to use a very optimum kind of temperature and leave it to a day. Until I think it process can be take sometime 3 to 5 days. So this is a very lengthy process. So it reduces the level of activity of the sporulating bacteria, and they are left by a simple boiling water method. So this what is some major principle, or you can say what is a major aim or objective to do the tendalization, that they can totally, or you can say can fish the sporulating bacteria from the core of a particular sample. कोई भी चीज़ है, तो अगर उसको आपको डीप क्लीन करना है उसके स्पोर स्टेज से लेके उसकी फाइनल स्टेज तक, then we can use the tendalization, like how we can use with the moist heat and the tendalization in a combination. So the process involved boiling for a period. So first we have to go for the boiling, like typically for the 20 minute at atmospheric pressure. Again we do for the cooling, with incubating for a day. Again second day we start the same process, boiling, cooling, incubating for a day. Third day again we have to do the same process, boiling, cooling and incubating for a day, and finally boiling again. So in this case, we have to need, if we have some time and we wanted to go very accurately with the tendalization process, because some of the researchers, they mentioned that this kind of process we are going to use in our any kind of experiment. So in that case, if they use tendalization, and so they have to be plenty of time to do this process. So that's why tendalization, they will going to take time, but yes, this is accurate. The 3 incubation period, they are allowed to heat resistant spores surviving the previous boiling period to germinate to form heat sensitive vegetative growing stage, which can be killed by the next boiling stage. So what the major thing that is happening inside the tendalization? In the boiling, we kill all the things which is present, but still some microorganism can remain. So when we do the cooling and incubating, so the one which has been remained in the first step, they will be grow again. And now from the spore stage to their mature stage. Again that we boil that all dead by the another cycle, but still if something remain with the second phase and they are going to mature again, then we have to boil them again. So this continuous process of boiling, cooling and incubating, that will give us the sureties like to 100% that all the microbial community which was present in that particular time has been killed. So the procedure only work for media that can support bacterial growth. It will not sterilize plain water. So actually, why this is going to support only media, because if we wanted to grow a sport to its mature condition, they need some nutrition. And for having the nutrition, we need a media, because inside a media they can be take the nutrition and promote to their mature phase. So this thing, this tendrilization process, that can only be done for the inside the media. We cannot just do it by the simple water, because not the water is only the thing which is responsible for giving the nutrition to the particular microbial community. Okay, so pasteurization, I think you all know about pasteurization. In this, we have to provide like the temperature for their boiling point, and again we have to cool it off. And this does not take as a long time as it has been taken inside the sterilization. So pasteurization, I think it's clear, so I'm skipping it. Now, the again that this is a process that I think you have been used several times inside your lab. That is called the autoclaving. So autoclaving is a standard sterilization method in hospital, laboratory, or any kind of facility which is using the microbial growth culture or anything which is related to the microbiology stream. This is a necessary condition and that has to be present there. This cannot be skipped inside the microbial techniques. So I think all of you know the autoclave. We just take it quickly. So autoclave work under the same principle as a pressure cooker, where water boils and increase atmospheric pressure. Because of increased pressure, the boiling point of water is more than 100 degrees Celsius. So this is a simple process that happens inside the autoclave, what happens inside your pressure cooker at your home. So we have to do the increase the temperature. They will start increasing the vaporization, or you can say they will convert when we boil the water vapor. Water will be converted into the vapor, and when this will going to happen in a very packed chamber, so that vapor is going to, you can say, the increased atmospheric pressure, and having a very high pressure and the heat or temperature. This is the idealized situation to killing all the kind of microorganism present in that particular sample. So that's why we think that having autoclave is the best kind of sterilization method which we can use under the microbiology. So the autoclave is a tough double-walled chamber in which air is replaced by a pure saturated stream under pressure. There will be no air left, which has been before when we just knob it off. So at that time, the air, they will be going to replace by the normal stream which has been formed by the boiling water. So this autoclave, that is a very tough chamber, because the pressure and the heat and the temperature, they has to be dealt. So that's why the chamber should be very strong and thick walled. So this air in the chamber is evacuated and filled with saturated stream. So the chamber is closed tightly, the pressure keep on filling into it, and the pressure gradually increase. So as there will be no outrage from it, because all the knobs we turn it them off. So actually the thing or the pressure which is inside, that will be increasing by increasing the boiling point. So at the optimum temperature is like 121 degrees Celsius is optimum temperature for our autoclave, and the 15 Pascal or 15 RPM. That is the pressure which we are need to kill all the microorganisms inside that sample or inside the autoclave, whatever the thing we have placed. So you have to remember the 121 degrees Celsius is the temperature we need. 15 RPM or 50 Pascal is a pressure which we are going to need for killing all the microorganism inside the autoclave. So this is how the autoclave work for the sterilization. So what are the advantages here? Temperature is have to be more than 100 degrees Celsius, therefore spores are killed. So this is a surety that spores which cannot tolerate the temperature more than 100 degrees Celsius, they will going to be killed. Condensation of a stream generate extra heat and latent heat of condensation. So as the condensation of heat work there, because of the second loop of the functioning. So they are going to this extra heat production there that will going to kill all the necessity which even some of the microorganisms which have the high tolerance to the temperature, they can also be killed inside the autoclave. Maybe they need time, so that's why we put them in that condition for like half an hour or 30 minutes or sometimes a 20 minute. So that depend on media also what kind of media we use, because placing a media for a very long time in autoclave can denature its own component also. So that's why we have to be very specify what kind of media we use there, and on the basis of their media we have to generate the timing of that particular temperature and the pressure. So note that autoclave item must be stream permeable, cannot be used for items that are lacking water. So nothing cannot be used the thing which cannot have appropriate amount of water. Like use a plate inside a autoclave, and under that plate we have a water level. So that water level should be very efficient, and also anything which can be stream permeable, that cannot be used there. Monitoring an autoclaves, that is simple, it's not very tough. So the physically use of thermocouple to measure accurately the temperature. So there will be a knob that is telling us all the thermal activity inside the autoclave. Chemical, it consists of heat sensitive chemicals that change color at the right temperature and exposure of the time. So chemicals, sometimes if something is very heat sensitive, we cannot put them inside, because if you see the rubber bands we use on the our instrument, like on the flask or anything which we wrap up with the rubber bands, so they rubber bands just disinfectant, and because of that activity they loses their color and texture. That's why anything which is placed inside, that has to be not heat sensitive. Otherwise, they will be changing their color and their texture. Autoclave tape and brown tube, they can be used for packing that material. So we don't use that thing. That's why we use rubber and rubber that make the changes in their normal structure. Biological, where a spore-bearing organism is added during the sterilization process, and even culture later to ensure that it has been killed. So, if we add something which is spore-bearing, or you can say in about to a reproductive phase, we can see that that particular thing going to be killed inside the microorganism. Or on that case study, you can be analyzed that in all the manner, in the physical manner, chemical manner, and the biological manner. All the parameters are very efficient when we use autoclave. So we got a 100% surety almost inside the autoclave to get a better results. These are some chemical methods inside the sterilization. We will take disinfectants in the next lecture. Just take it the chemical method of sterilization. There are just two things which we can use under the sterilization, or you can say under the sterilization by chemical methods. So useful for heat sensitive materials. So why we are using the chemical methods? What is our main goal? The need of chemical method is like if we are have to sterilize something which is plastic or lensed instrument endoscope. So in that case, we need something which do not change their structure, because heat can alter the normal structure of plastic. So that's why we need some kind of method which do not interfere in their original structure. So here what we have to use ethylene oxide chamber and activated alkaline glutaldehyde 2%. So these are the two things, or these are the two chemical methods which we can use for sterilizing anything which cannot tolerate the much more heat or any pressure, anything at all. So ethylene oxide alkylate, what they do, this ethylene oxalate, they alkylate the DNA molecule and thereby inactivate the microorganism. So the major function happen inside the ethylene oxide chamber. This happen, this ethylene oxide, what they do, they alkylate the DNA molecule. And if any kind of change in a genetic material lead to the lethality of that particular organism, lethality means to make them till their death. So this ethylene oxide, what they do, they alkylate the DNA molecule of the microorganism, thereby inactivates the microorganism. If the DNA is inactivated, there will be no functioning can be done inside a cell. So it's the same, inactivate the microorganism, just inactivate their DNA. Ethylene oxide may cause explosion if caused pure, so it is mixed with an inert gas like neon, freon at a ratio of 10 to 90. So this ethylene oxide, this is like a explosive actually, and because they have a very high reactivity, so that's why we have to use them in a combination with the any inert gas which is non-reactive. So and this should be the ratio 10 ethylene oxide to the 90 to inert gas. So in this combination only they can be balanced. It requires high humidity and it use that relative humidity like 50 to 60%. So they need humid conditions. Temperature is also cannot be exceeded like 55 to 60 degrees Celsius, and exposure period will be like 4 to 6 hours. So in this chamber, humidity should be high like 50 to 60%, temperature like 55 to 60 degrees Celsius, and exposure time in which we are exposing our sample or anything equipment, so that can be period like 4 to 6 hours. So this is the condition which has been seen in the ethylene oxide chamber. Next here, activated alkaline glutaldehyde for the 2%. So what we have to do, we have to immerse our anything like any instrument or sample inside this solution. So immerse item in the solution for about 20 minutes if organism is TB, or in case of spores, so anything which is in a spore condition, mature condition, adult condition, so that has a different time period. Like in case of the spore, the immerse period is extended to 2 to 3 hours. So if that is in the immerse period or the spore period, we needed to exceed the time. But if that is in the TV position, so we can just introduce a time period. It's like the 20 minutes. So these are the methods which can be used under the sterilization. So these just two simple method of the chemical sterilization, and you has been seeing all the method of physical sterilization. Okay, so disinfectant we will take in the next class.